This Saturday is UFC Fight Night Louisiana. Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier 3 for the BMF title. And this is going to be my full card predictions. I know I said UFC Fight Night Louisiana. That's what it feels like. This doesn't feel like a pay-per-view to me. It's a decent card. It's a great Fight Night card. It has a solid main event. There's some interesting matchups throughout the card. Paulo Costa, Roman Kopylov is a pay-per-view main event in 2025 is rubbing me the wrong way. But that's not what we're here to talk about. I've already talked about that in other videos. I'm going to break down every single fight on this card. I'm going to give my prediction for every single fight on this card. I'm looking forward to mildly UFC 318. It's not like I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to UFC 319 next month, which is now, I mean, that's insane. We're a month away. We're a month away from Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. Anyway, can't wait for that card. If you guys enjoy prediction videos, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, like this video. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's jump into it. The people's main event. We have Carli Judice versus Nicole Caliari. They're both mediocre. I mean, this is women's MMA, low-level women's MMA. Carli Judice 4-2, 8-3 for Nicole Caliari. I went back and watched some of their fights. They're all right. I mean, the Gabriel Fernandez split decision loss for Judice, I didn't think she looked particularly bad. Then she came back and got a head kick KO against Dubin in her last fight 3 months ago. Caliari's last fight was the same split decision loss against Ernesta Caracate that Carli Judice had in her Dana White's Contender Series fight. When it comes down to it, when I watch both these women perform, I think Carli Judice is just slightly better. They're both decent. They both have grappling. They both have okay striking. I would say they're both primarily strikers. Judice honestly probably lost the Fernandez fight because she spent too much time getting controlled in the clinch. But she was able to hold her own, and I think she's a slightly better striker. So I'm going to go Carli Judice, and since it's women's MMA, I'm going to go decision for Carli Judice. But you never know. With this fight, it could be, it literally is a toss-up, but I'm going to pick Carli Judice via decision. Next fight on the card, we have Bruno Ferreira versus Jackson McVey. Now, Jackson McVey was supposed to fight. I think he stepped in on short notice against somebody. I don't remember who it was. Then that guy pulled out, and then somebody stepped in on short notice to fight him, and then that guy couldn't make weight, so then they canceled the whole fight. And now they moved a couple weeks later. He's fighting Bruno Ferreira. Listen, Jackson McVey, undefeated 6-0. He's pretty gritty. I watched some of his fights in LFA. He has decent finishing ability, but he just gives me like Kentucky State Fair vibes, guys. And this is a tough matchup for him. Bruno Ferreira has nasty power in his hands. He has really good kickboxing. He's coming off a win over Armin Petrosian where he subbed him. I think he was losing that fight early. Then he lost to Abus Magomedov, which is actually an embarrassment. But he's taken on a guy who's 6-0, who's fought bummy competition. I mean, 2 fights ago, he fought a guy who's 3-2. And while Jackson McVey is well-rounded, I don't think he's UFC caliber, where Bruno Ferreira is a legitimately skilled UFC fighter. He's not like top of the food chain. He's not even really, I mean, he's kind of like a mid-tier fighter. Came in on his UFC debut, I believe it was against Gregory Rodriguez, brutally KO'd him, which was insane. Then Norsalt and Ruzaboyev stepped in on short notice to fight Bruno Ferreira and did the same thing to him on his UFC debut, which was insane. And since then, I mean, the loss to Abus doesn't look that good, but Abus, I think, was overrated and then underrated a bit. But all this is to say, I think Bruno Ferreira is going to brutally KO him. I don't think McVey is cut out for the UFC. That remains to be seen. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But either way, I think Ferreira has a massive power advantage in this fight. And I think he's the more crisp, cleaner, more technical striker overall. And I just see a performance here in this fight where he just goes out there and butchers Jackson McVey. Maybe McVey, you know what, it's his UFC debut. He's going to be desperate to win. Maybe he survives a round. Maybe he has a little bit of success early and the commentary team starts out, whoa, McVey coming in, making a statement in the UFC. And then he loses the round still, but people are kind of giving, the commentary's kind of giving him a participation trophy. Then the second round, Bruno Ferreira brutally chins him. I'm going to go Bruno Ferreira second round KO. I also think Ferreira can grapple. I don't think he has a massive advantage in the grappling. McVey has a fair amount of submissions. He looks decent on the ground when I was watching some of his LFA fights. I don't think he's going to be a fish out of water on the ground, but I just think Bruno Ferreira, too big, too strong, too powerful, is going to go out there and KO a Jackson McVey who's fighting guys who belong in the Kentucky State Fair prelims, okay? So I'm picking Bruno Ferreira second round KO. Next fight on the card, we have Ryan Spann versus Łukasz Brzeski, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm going Ryan Spann, boys. I'm going to spare you all the, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm going to spare you the speculation. I'm going to spare you the anticipation. I'm going to go Ryan Spann. Heavyweight's garbage. Spann's garbage. Superman Spann lighting it up at MSG. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Brzeski's getting KO'd by Kennedy and Zellhuber. Mick Parkin's KOing him. He beat Walter Walker. That was a fluke. Walter Walker would heel hook him in a minute. KO'd by Waldo Cortez Acosta. Lost to Carl Williams. I know Ryan Spann's garbage, but he has crazy power. And I think Łukasz Brzeski has a shitty chin. What is there more to break down in this fight? I mean, he lost to Waldo Cortez Acosta as well. He beat Ovince St. Preux, which isn't that good. Lost to Bogdan Guskov. Lost to Anthony Smith, which is an embarrassment. That was only 2 years ago. Lost to Nikita Krylov. Came up to heavyweight. He wants to be able to beat some of these heavyweight bums. He probably thought Waldo Cortez Acosta, the Salsa Boy, was going to be a pushover like a lot of people did. Salsa Boy's legit. And I just think Brzeski's brain dead, basically. And I think he's super chinny. And I think Ryan Spann's going to go out there. He has like 2 minutes of cardio. But it's not like Brzeski can drown him anyway. Ryan Spann has some of the worst cardio I've ever seen. But again, it's not like Brzeski's going to have the cardio to make him pay for that. So I think Spann's going to come out. I think he's going to come out hard and fast. And I think he's going to chin Brzeski. I'm going to go Ryan Spann first round KO. And I think it's going to be an impressive performance, but only because it's going to last about 2 minutes. So I'm going to pick Ryan Spann to go out there guns a-blazing, swinging wild, crazy, big shots. And he chins Łukasz Brzeski in the first round. That's what I'm sticking with. But I don't know, man. Spann's got finished so many times as well. It could happen to him. He could gas out looking for a finish early. But I think if he really pours on an onslaught early, I think he'll get Brzeski out of there. But he could gas out because he doesn't have good cardio. If he goes for the finish early, he's done after 2 minutes. So there is a chance, but I think Ryan Spann gets it done. I'm picking him to win in the first round via KO. Next fight on the card, we have Jimmy Crute versus Marcin Prachnio. I don't know in this one. Jimmy Crute hasn't won a fight in half a decade. He's been losing and getting draws because of point deductions. He's coming off a draw against Rodolfo Bellato where he almost got a finish, but then I think he ended up getting 10-8'd. He lost to Alonzo Mendenfield, draw with Alonzo Mendenfield, I think because of a point deduction in that one. Got KO'd by Jamal Hill. I actually picked Jimmy Crute against Jamal Hill. That's an embarrassing pick. Lost to Anthony Smith. That was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, he lost to Anthony Smith. Listen, Marcin Prachnio is okay. Jimmy Crute's 29 years old versus Prachnio's 37 years old, trading wins and losses. Lost to Modestas Bukauskas via arm triangle in his last fight. Before that, he beat Devin Clark, who's a scrub. Before that, lost to Vitor Petrino. Before that, beat William Knight. You guys remember William Knight? All those muscles for literally nothing, William Knight. And then lost to Felipe Lins. I think Prachnio's striking is good enough to go out there and kickbox at range and just chop the legs of Jimmy Crute and land good shots on Jimmy Crute. But I think Jimmy Crute can probably out-grapple him. Jimmy Crute has okay grappling. His grappling is definitely better than his striking. And I think he can take Prachnio down and control him and beat him up a bit. Similar to what he was doing a bit in the Alonzo Mendenfield, I believe, first fight. And Jimmy Crute's much younger. So I don't think it's like a guarantee, like 80% on Tapology has Jimmy Crute. I don't think it's a guarantee by any means, considering Jimmy Crute. I could see Prachnio chopping his legs and getting like an Anthony Smith-esque finish. And honestly, the way Jimmy Crute moves, it seems like the damage he's taken over the course of his career, it's not looking good for him, considering he's only 29 years old. But I will say this. He hasn't won in half a decade. Prachnio is 37 years old, trading wins and losses, has never been elite, slowing down a bit, has kind of a grappling hole in his game. It's not horrible. He's light on his feet early. He manages distance well with his kicks, and he does chop the legs well, and he's decently defensively responsible. I think Jimmy Crute's going to get it. I think he's going to get one of those wins. He's going to be crying in the post-fight. Like, I've been waiting for this for 6 years. I've been waiting for a win for 6 years. I think Jimmy Crute entered the UFC too early, and he paid for it, and he's taken a lot of damage because of that. But it's just hard for me to pick 37-year-old 17-8 Marcin Prachnio over a younger, I think more physically imposing Jimmy Crute. So I'm going to go Jimmy Crute to get it done via decision. But I could see Prachnio winning via decision as well, just kickboxing at range, mainly like a heavy dose of leg kicks and body kicks. But I'm going to pick Jimmy Crute to get it done. I'm going to say 29-28. Prachnio wins the first round, just barely edges the first round. Next fight on the card, the last early prelim. We have Adam Fugitt versus Islam Dulatov. How can you pick Adam Fugitt in this matchup? How can you pick him? I'm going Islam Dulatov. He looked amazing on Dana White's Contender Series. Went crazy, was looking for the kill, was ripping to the body, stayed kind of technical. He did start getting clipped a little bit, but he kept his composure, eventually finds a picture-perfect elbow, and just slumps this dude out cold. Vanilto Atuna, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but slumped him out cold, looks super impressive. He's 11-1, hasn't lost in a while, 26 years old, taking on Adam Fugitt, who won via split decision against Josh Quinlan, who's not that good. Lost to Mike Malott, who lost to Neil Magny. I know MMA math doesn't work, but Dulatov is super well-rounded. He has crazy killer instinct, and his striking is filthy. And I think he's going to be faster on the feet. I think he's more technical on the feet. I think Fugitt's decently well-rounded. He's going to try to mix in the grappling. He's going to try to take Dulatov down. Dulatov, it's not like he showed some massive hole in his grappling and that he's going to get exposed by Adam Fugitt. This is another, the UFC is very selective with their matchmaking. You guys have to understand this. This is another guy they want to succeed because he's from Dana White's Contender Series. And they're giving him a matchup they think he can win. And I just think Dulatov goes out there and spanks Adam Fugitt. I really do. I think on the feet, Dulatov is superior in every way. And I like the way he was ripping body shots. I like the way he was mixing everything together. I like when he faced a little bit of adversity, he kind of peeled back a little bit and then picked his spots and eventually found the finish. I don't think Fugitt has a chance in this one. Let me say something real quick. Yeah, not the tapology percentages mean everything, but I'm just always curious. Dulatov, 96%. Tapology says plus 430 underdog for Adam Fugitt. I just don't see a way in which Fugitt wins this fight other than a fluke KO as Dulatov is looking for a finish, walking him down, getting a little bit too sloppy. Fugitt counters him and slumps him. I'm damn sure not picking that. So I'm going to go Islam Dulatov. I'm going to say first round KO. Super impressive first round KO. He's a little bit more careful early, picking his shots, eventually finds a big shot, hurts Fugitt, and just swarms him and eventually melts him up against the cage, ripping to the body, ripping upstairs. I'm going to go first round KO for Islam Dulatov. Next fight on the card, the very first prelim, we have Ateba Gautier versus Robert Valentin. I mean, this is another reason this card isn't that good. I feel like there's a lot of obvious matchups. There could be like massive upsets and everyone's going to be like, man, I got 10 units on Robert Valentin, bro. The dogs are going to be barking on Saturday, man. 15 units, by the way. I got 150 units on Carli Judice. I think the dogs are going to be barking. Now, I don't even know if she's a dog. But anyway, I could see some gambling bros being like, yeah, man, Robert Valentin, man. Don't sleep on Robert Valentin, man. Gautier's going to win this matchup. I mean, it's just a fact. Another Dana White's Contender Series guy who's looked very impressive, and they're setting him up to get a win here. I mean, Robert Valentin is like a Family Dollar version of like Yuri Prohaska. He lost against Therese Finney, got out grappled there. Split decision, but I don't think it should have been a split decision. Before that, got KO'd by Ryan Loder, my body double. Okay, got finished there. Before that, he was on The Ultimate Fighter. Gautier looked super incredible against Jose Medina. Brutally finished him with I think it was a flying knee. Before that on Dana White's Contender Series, nasty KO. He's a finishing machine. He is more physically imposing. He has better striking. He has better finishing ability. I don't think Robert Valentin will have like absolutely no chance in this fight because I feel like Gautier could be one of those guys that we're like hyping up as a prospect. But to be honest, I think Gautier probably slaughters him. I mean, he's 23 years old. He's a freak in nature. He's super athletic, super powerful, has good striking, can mix in the grappling. He's 6'4". He's got a 2-inch height advantage, 4-inch reach advantage for Ateba Gautier. I think this is another Dana White's Contender Series showcase fight where Ateba Gautier is going to go out there and put on a performance where everyone's like, man, how good is Gautier? So I think Gautier gets it done. I'm going to pick another first round KO. I'm going to say Gautier gets him out of there in the first round. I'm going to say brutal head kick KO. By the way, guys, who picked Walter Walker first round heel hook last week? So I'm going to pick another one. I'm going to say Gautier first round head kick KO. I think he's going to be outclassing Valentin on the feet. I think Valentin's going to try to mix in the grappling, get sprawled into the mat, and then eventually Gautier is going to find that head kick KO. That's what I think is going to happen. So I'm going Gautier first round KO. Next fight on the card, we have Francisco Prado versus Nikolai Veretennikov. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This fight could go either way. It could. I mean, look how rectangular this guy's head is. Look how, I mean, that's insane. I'm just realizing. I know Francisco Prado has a rectangular head. Listen, Prado, I know he's lost. Lost to Jake Matthews. That's not that bad of a loss. Jake Matthews sometimes looks like an elite level fighter. Sometimes he looks like a scrub. So it's really hard to count that loss against Prado. Before that, lost to Daniel Zellhuber. Daniel Zellhuber's a very interesting prospect. Before that, beat Atman Azaitar, brutally KO'd him. Before that, lost to Jamie Malarkey. That's 2.5 years ago. He's 23 years old. He was 21 years old when he lost to Jamie Malarkey. So forget about that. Nikolai, he came into the UFC. He lost a split decision against Danny Barlow. He did okay. But then after that, lost to Austin Vanderford. Got finished by Austin Vanderford. Didn't look that great in that fight. I think that Francisco Prado, I think he's the better fighter, man. Prado's not easy to take down and hold down. He's kind of a guy that's a little bit of a brawler. I don't think Nikolai is going to be able to go out there and put him away early. I don't think Nikolai is some like amazing striker by any means. And I mean, look at the youth advantage. I mean, we're talking about a 12-year youth advantage for Francisco Prado. I know he's 12-3. I know he's lost all 3 of those fights in the UFC. His only wins against a bum and Atman Azaitar. But I think Prado can kind of walk down Nikolai, beat him up on the feet, and find a finish. I think it's one of those fights that you really don't know for sure. But I really actually think Prado is better than kind of his record overall indicates. So I'm going to pick Prado to get it done. Does he finish him? I mean, Austin Vanderford finished him. I'm going to say Prado wins via decision. I see maybe Nikolai being able to survive, being able to have some success in the fight. Prado does leave his chin exposed. He took a decent amount of damage against Jake Matthews and Daniel Zellhuber. I think it'll be competitive, but I think Prado will win this fight. I'm going to say Francisco Prado gets it done. I'm going to say decision. I'm going to say he wins like a 29-28 decision. It'll be a competitive fight. Both guys will have taken damage by the end of it. Maybe Prado gets him out of there with like a big shot as he's just marching forward, you know, kind of in like almost dirty boxing range, clips him behind the ear and puts him away. But I'm just going to predict that it goes to decision and Francisco Prado gets it done 29-28. But I could see him getting the finish again. Next fight on the card, Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen. The mid-off. I mean, this is the definition of a mid-off, is it not? Is it not? I mean, we have the middleweights, Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen. I've never been high on Brendan Allen at all. I've never been high on Marvin Vettori at all. I'm going to pick Brendan Allen. Marvin Vettori's 31 years old, but he's been in the UFC forever. And he's taken a lot of damage. And he's getting outstruck by Roman Dolidze. At that point, who can you beat? I mean, the damage he took against Jared Cannonier was life-altering. Took a beating against Jared Cannonier. His last win is against Roman Dolidze in a shit fight. It was 2.5 years ago. Now he's rematched. He lost to Dolidze. Brendan Allen, while I believe he was criminally overrated, he went to decision with Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. He went to decision with him. Before that, lost to Nasruddin Imavov. Had moments in that fight against Imavov. Where's Vettori good? You guys tell me. Now, I don't think Brendan Allen's primarily like a ground specialist guy. He has some striking, but he primarily wants to get you down and beat you up. Marvin Vettori has really good takedown defense. He's not a guy that's easily taken down and controlled. But I think on the feet, Vettori's just too mid. He's not even mid. He's low. He's low tier. His striking isn't that good. Allen seems like his striking has improved mildly. Maybe it's because he's practicing it on his toddler daughter as he's bragging on social media. But, I mean, look, I'll take losses to Anthony Hernandez and Nasruddin Imavov in competitive fights over pretty clear losses to Roman Dolidze and Jared Cannonier. And Jared Cannonier took ungodly amount of damage. So I don't think Vettori's going to get taken down, controlled, and submitted. Vettori's not a guy that's easy to finish. He's super durable. But I think Brendan Allen can beat him up on the feet. I don't think it's going to be like a world-class masterclass by Brendan Allen. But I think Vettori's like 45 years old in MMA years. He's been around forever. He's taken a lot of damage. He's fought the who's who. And he's just not that good. He's proven just to be not that good. And while Brendan Allen, I think he was massively overrated. I thought he lost to Chris Curtis. So really, I don't think Brendan Allen's won since he beat Paul Craig, but he submitted Paul Craig. Lost to Chris Curtis, should have. He won via split decision. And then since then, fought 2 elite fighters. Marvin Vettori, don't get me wrong, he's fighting decent opposition, but there's a massive difference between losing to Roman Dolidze clear cut and losing to Fluffy Hernandez, who's an absolute savage. I'm taking Brendan Allen to get it done over Marvin Vettori. I don't think he's going to finish Marvin Vettori. If Jared Cannonier couldn't get him out of there, I don't think Brendan Allen's going to get him out of there, especially in 3 rounds. I do worry about Allen's cardio. Sometimes he's fought in 5 rounds and he's shown decent cardio, but then sometimes in 3 rounds he looks like shit. So I don't know what it is, but I'm going to pick Brendan Allen to get it done. I'm going to say he wins via decision. He's not getting Marvin Vettori down and subbing him. I don't see that happening. I don't see him knocking him out on the feet unless Marvin Vettori's chin is completely gone. I almost said Marvin Vicini. But yeah, I'm going to go Brendan Allen to get it done via decision. Next fight on the card, the featured prelim, boys. We got the featured prelim here. We have Kyler Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira. This is actually a banger matchup right here. This is a banger matchup. Kyler Phillips, man, it's hard for me to get a read on Kyler Phillips in the bantamweight division. He lost against Rob Font, didn't look particularly good. Fight before that, he looked pretty impressive against Pedro Munoz. I know Pedro Munoz wasn't in his prime. Fight before that looked decent against Hani Barcelos, who was exposing dudes. Kyler Phillips' cardio has like been amazing and then disappeared and been amazing again. I don't know what is going on with him. I really don't. He lost to Halian Paiva not that long ago. That was when he kind of blew his load looking for a finish, then got 10-8'd, I think. That's what happened. I'm pretty sure. I think he got a 10-8, then lost 2 rounds is what happened. But he lost to Rob Font. Rob Font's an old man. You're 30 years old. You're losing to Rob Font and getting outstruck. Vinicius Oliveira has been super impressive in his UFC career. Now, to be honest, I didn't think he was that good after he beat Bernardo Sopai because he was getting out-grappled. He was losing the fight and then found a flying knee, brutal flying knee KO. But since then, beat Ricky Simone. I thought he was going to lose to Ricky Simone. Then he beat Said Nurmagomedov. Very competitive fight against Said Nurmagomedov, who's very, very good as well. I think he's going to beat Kyler Phillips. Kyler Phillips is kind of a slick striker who has good movement. He's decently well-rounded, but he's inconsistent. He's really inconsistent. Sometimes he shows up and he looks really good. Other times he shows up and he looks like shit. I think Vinicius Oliveira has nasty power. I think he's shown he will not quit on himself in a fight. He showed that in the Bernardo Sopai fight. Kyler Phillips isn't primarily a grappler. And I feel like the guy that's going to beat Oliveira, the guy that's going to expose Oliveira, it's going to be primarily with grappling. And while Kyler Phillips has okay grappling, he's going to try to strike with Oliveira. And I think Oliveira has a power advantage. Kyler Phillips might have a volume advantage. He might throw more shots. But I think Oliveira's kickboxing and his power are is what's going to win him this fight. I think he's going to clip up Kyler Phillips. I think he's going to outstrike Kyler Phillips on the feet. I think Kyler Phillips might try to mix in the grappling, but I don't think he's going to find a lot of success mixing in the grappling against Vinicius Oliveira, who I believe he knows that's the hole in his game. He's been working on it nonstop since the Bernardo Sopai fight and probably even before that. So I think the younger you are, the more you can improve incrementally fight to fight. And I think Oliveira is leveling up between fights. And I think Oliveira is a very interesting bantamweight contender. And I'm picking him to get it done against Kyler Phillips. Kyler Phillips is not easy to finish, but he's getting outstruck by Rob Font. I think Vinicius Oliveira would beat Rob Font today. So I'm going to go Vinicius Oliveira. I'm going to pick him to win via decision. I don't think he's going to go out there and put Kyler Phillips' lights out, but I think he'll be able to go out there and beat him on the feet. I'm going to pick Vinicius Oliveira to get a clear-cut 30-27 decision against Kyler Phillips. But this could be one of those fights where Kyler Phillips shows up and he looks like a top 10 bantamweight out of nowhere. I have my suspicions on that. But I'm not going to bank on that. So I'm going to go Oliveira via decision. Next fight on the card, opening up the main card. The main card of a pay-per-view, boys. We have Michael Johnson, Daniel Zellhuber. Opening up a main card in 2025. Michael Johnson is 350 years old. Okay, I'm going Daniel Zellhuber. Need I say more? Need I say more? I know Michael Johnson's on a little bit of a streak. You know, he beat Otman Azaitar. He beat Darius Flowers. I don't think they're anywhere as good as Daniel Zellhuber. His last loss got brutally KO'd by Diego Ferreira. I would have had a clean sweep on that card. I would have picked every fight correct if he would have kept that win against Diego Ferreira. He was winning and then he got slumped out cold. He's really 39 years old, but he's been around forever. Daniel Zellhuber, 26 years old. Coming off a loss against Esteban Ribovic, a very close fight. Esteban Ribovic is a very legit contender and has a very bright future in the UFC lightweight division. How can you pick Michael Johnson unless you're like, yeah, man, I hate to keep making these jokes every prediction video, but yeah, man, I think the dogs are going to be barking, man. I got 20 units on Michael Johnson, bro. I don't think that's going to happen. I know it happens every once in a while, and everyone's like, holy crap, and John Anik's going off. If you would have took Daniel Zellhuber on DraftKings, man, it would have been unbelievable, man. I don't think it's going to happen. Michael Johnson, at one point, was a super slick striker and had pretty good hand speed. He still does have decent hand speed, but it's not an advantage it once was. At 39 years old, he's slowing down. His grappling isn't particularly great. He has a massive reach disadvantage in this fight. Well, not as crazy as I thought it was. He has about a 3.5 inch reach disadvantage. He has a 3-inch height disadvantage, and he's 13 years older than Daniel Zellhuber. 13 years older than Daniel Zellhuber. And Zellhuber's looked good. I mean, he looked good against Esteban Ribovic, even in a loss. He beat Francisco Prado. He beat Christos Yago, submitted him easily. Beat Lando Venata. Lost to Trey Ogden. I think that was a bit of a fluke, even though he clearly lost. I know that doesn't really make sense, but you get my point. I think that was a bit of an outlier for Daniel Zellhuber. Maybe there was other circumstances that led him to losing that fight. He beats Trey Ogden 9 out of 10 times. Michael Johnson is an old man who's 23 and 19, who's 39 years old. It's Otman Azaitar is not a good win. It's just not. It's just really not. Daniel Zellhuber is going to go out there, put a beating on Michael Johnson, beat him up at range. If he needs to, he can mix in the grappling, maybe even sub Michael Johnson. I don't think that's going to happen. And ultimately, I'm going to pick Johnson to survive. I could pick Zellhuber second round TKO, but I'm going to say Zellhuber gets it done via decision. Clear cut, masterclass, maybe kind of picks his shots and doesn't get, maybe he's like, oh man, I don't want to lose 2 in a row. He's a little bit nervous. He's still young. He's still developing his skill set. He knows Michael Johnson's been around forever. And it would be an absolute travesty if he loses to Michael Johnson at this point in Michael Johnson's career compared to where Zellhuber's career is. So I think Zellhuber's going to go out there, play a tactical striking game, outstrike Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson's going to lose and probably stick around for another 2 fights after this. But I'm going Daniel Zellhuber, 30-27, clear-cut decision, maybe even a second-round KO for Daniel Zellhuber. Next fight on the card, we have Dan Ige versus Patricio Pitbull. Listen, I know all the hardcores. I mean, this is a tale as old as time. Okay, I keep up with Bellator. I keep up with other organizations to a certain extent. Every time someone comes in from another organization and has a decent name, and don't get me wrong, I've been a big proponent of there is great skill outside the UFC. But what you have is these hardcores who want to prove how hardcore they are. And every time like a Bellator name comes over to the UFC, like, yeah, man, they're so amazing, bro. They're so good. And they get overhyped because you have fakes, frauds wanting to be hardcores, pretending to be hardcores, masquerading around as a hardcore. Like, man, Patricio Pitbull, man, I've been watching his whole entire career, man. He's so elite. Pitbull was good at one point. He was good at one point, but that point was 5 years ago. Came in, got brutalized by Yair Rodriguez. Anyone with half a brain saw that coming a mile away. I think Dan Ige is criminally underrated. I've been saying that. Go back and watch. Find like the earliest video I'd make a prediction about Dan Ige. I've been saying Dan Ige is criminally underrated. Has really slick boxing, has nasty power, is not easy to take down and control. He's coming off a win against Sean Woodson, brutally KO'd him, horrible stoppage, but brutally KO'd him in a fight that he was losing. Before that, lost to Lerone Murphy, competitive fight there. I mean, he didn't come close to winning, but Lerone Murphy's one of the best in the world. Before that, lost to Diego Lopez. Took that on an hour's notice. Before that, beat Andre Fili. Before that, lost to Bryce Mitchell. I thought he won that fight. Patricio Pitbull was far past his prime. While he has nasty power, is he going to put Dan Ige away? Is he going to try to grapple? I don't think so. I think the path to beat Dan Ige is out grappling him. And I don't think Patricio Pitbull goes out there and imposes his will and wrestles him nonstop. Patricio Pitbull wants to strike. And while Pitbull has more diverse attacks, he mixes in kicks more, he's primarily a boxer. And what does Dan Ige like to do? He likes to box. And Dan Ige is younger. He is faster. He is motivated. He's arguably in the prime of his career. He's 33, going on 34. He has a crazy reach advantage, which is absolutely insane. He has a 5.5-inch reach advantage. That's how short Patricio Pitbull's arms are. Now, maybe Pitbull says, you know what, I'm finally in the UFC. I was bitching and moaning a while. The sweetheart deals from Bellator didn't pan out with PFL. Once the purchase happened, maybe he's like super motivated. And he's like, you know what, I got to get a win here. I don't want to lose 2 in a row. I want to at least get 1 UFC win. I think Dan Ige is a tough matchup, man. I think Dan Ige is like Patricio Pitbull from 5 years ago with maybe a little less jiu-jitsu. I know that sounds like a weird comparison, but Dan Ige has one-punch KO power. He has slick boxing. He primarily uses his hands. And again, while Pitbull has more kicking diversity, Dan Ige is not a guy that's just going to get exposed on the feet. And Pitbull's not going to grapple him. It's not going to happen. Maybe he does. Maybe he shocks me, grapples to a win nonstop. But Dan Ige is not even easy to hold down. Ask Diego Lopez. Ask Bryce Mitchell. He's not easy to hold down. So I'm picking Dan Ige. I just can't see. You know, I honestly think Dan Ige could beat Yair Rodriguez right now. And Yair Rodriguez just schooled Pitbull. And maybe it was jitters. Maybe it was UFC jitters or whatever excuse you want to throw in. But I don't think Pitbull, at this state in his career, at this, diminished, point where his skills are so diminished, I don't think he's beaten Dan Ige. I just don't think he's going to be able to do it. So I'm going to pick Dan Ige to win via decision. Pitbull's pretty durable. I could see Dan Ige flatlining him. He does have brutal KO power. But I think Pitbull's good enough where he's defensively responsible enough where it'll be a very close back and forth striking matchup where Dan Ige just lands the better shots. I'm going to pick Dan Ige to get it done via decision. Next fight on the card. The featured fight on the card, boys. We have Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. Talk about a mid-off. Talk about a mid-off. Man, I need to take a drink, man. This mid-off is so crazy right now. I still got my cup full of the Ankalaev of haters' tears, okay? I told you guys I didn't want to ever pick Kevin Holland again, man. I didn't ever want to pick him again. Somehow he keeps getting Dana White privilege. Now he's on a 2-fight win streak because he beat the dead body of Vicente Luque. He beat Gunnar Nelson. He lost to Rainer De Ritter, my personal hitman. Lost to Roman Dolidze. Quit against him. Daniel Rodriguez is on a 2-fight win streak against Ponzinibbio and Alex Morono. Morono and Ponzinibbio are both on the, they got one foot in the grave, the other on a banana peel in terms of their career. Before that, lost to Kelvin Gastelum, lost to Ian Machado Gary, lost to Neil Magny. Kevin Holland gets it done. This is a fight that was actually booked for a catchweight at UFC 279, the Hamzat card, when it got all shuffled around. Look, Daniel Rodriguez is just primarily a striker, doesn't have the best grappling at all. And he's going to go out there and kickbox with Kevin Holland, and that's exactly what Kevin Holland wants to do. And Kevin Holland has a 7-inch reach advantage and a 2-inch height advantage and a grappling advantage. I'm going Kevin Holland. I don't like picking Kevin Holland. I think I picked him to beat Vicente Luque, if I'm not mistaken, which is crazy. That was a month ago, and I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I reluctantly picked him to beat Vicente Luque. But either way, Vicente Luque is a dead body. I don't think Daniel Rodriguez is that good at all. I don't think he was good in the prime of his career, let alone when he's 38 going on 39 years old. Kevin Holland's in his prime, 32 years old. What adversity is he going to face against Daniel Rodriguez? What does Daniel Rodriguez have that's going to make Kevin Holland worry at all? And I say this as someone who was not high on Kevin Holland at all. Okay, so I'm going to pick Kevin Holland to get it done. Does he win by 45-70? I don't know. You know what? I'm going to pick the same way I picked Kevin Holland over Michael Chiesa a while ago. By the way, talk about Dana White privilege. Featured fight on a pay-per-view. Oh, yeah, you beat Vicente Luque. Kevin Holland gets he has more Dana White privilege than anybody in the UFC. Anyway, I'm going to pick Kevin Holland to Darce choke Daniel Rodriguez. I think he tags him on the feet, maybe drops him. Daniel Rodriguez gets hurt. Maybe looks for like a desperation takedown that he doesn't actually want. He's too lazy, he's too hurt, and he's kind of like just on a lazy takedown. Kevin Holland locks up a Darce choke, similar to what he did against Michael Chiesa. That's what I'm going to go with. I think Kevin Holland gets it done. I don't see Daniel Rodriguez winning this fight. I really don't. How does he get it done? Is he going to box at range on a 7-inch reach disadvantage? Kevin Holland's not worried about the grappling at all coming back. Kevin Holland gets it done for sure. I'm picking Kevin Holland's second round Darce choke. I think he has the far better jiu-jitsu than Daniel Rodriguez, who's getting subbed by Neil Magny. Not like a crazy long time ago. But either way, Daniel Rodriguez has been the same for literal years. His skill set has plateaued for 5 years. Now, while Kevin Holland's been the same for a while, I think his kind of, top tier point in his career is right now. And I think it's better than Daniel Rodriguez in his prime, who's not in his prime right now. So I'm going Kevin Holland to get it done. I think he does finish him regardless of how this fight ends. But I'm going to go second round submission, Darce choke for Kevin Holland. Next fight on the card, co-main event. We got the co-main event here, Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov. I'm not picking Costa, man. I'm just not. He's got one fight in the last 5 years. One win in the last 5 years against Luke Rockhold. He's not this KO artist. People think he's some KO artist because he's got big muscles like me. He's not a KO artist. And look at his losses. He's losing to Sean Strickland, who's a scrub, overrated scrub. People hype him up because he's a right-wing grifter. Before that, got outclassed by Robert Whittaker. Not a horrible loss. Before that, beat the dead body Luke Rockhold. I thought so poorly of Paulo Costa back then. I picked Luke Rockhold to beat him, and it was a close competitive fight. Before that, lost to Marvin Vettori, who's mid as hell. Before that, lost to Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya brutally dropped Paulo Costa, brutally KO'd him, and hit him with the back shots dead. And I just don't believe that Costa has ever recovered from that. I really don't. And Roman Kopylov has really good kickboxing. Paulo Costa has short little T-Rex arms. He has a 72-inch reach. Kopylov has a 3-inch reach advantage. Doesn't even have that crazy of a reach. He's a really good kickboxer. Has a good variety of attacks. Paulo Costa just marches forward and boxes. That is it. I'm going to be shocked. My biggest prediction is me shocked if Paulo Costa shows up for this fight. I don't believe he's going to show up for this fight. Maybe he will, though. And if he does, I'm picking Roman Kopylov to get it done. Paulo Costa is not easily finishable. So I'm going to say Roman Kopylov via decision. But Kopylov went out there and finished Chris Curtis. It was a horrible stoppage, but he did land a crazy head kick KO. Kopylov's cardio is a bit suspect. So if Costa kind of puts him on the back foot early, he could wear out Kopylov. But Costa, we haven't seen that Costa since he fought Yoel Romero many, many years ago. Long before I even had a YouTube channel. That was the last time we really saw prime Paulo Costa. And that's the only good win in his entire career against an aging Yoel Romero. And I actually scored that fight for Yoel Romero. Kopylov, 34 years old, same age as Paulo Costa, but doesn't have as many miles on him. Coming off a win against Chris Curtis, coming off a win against Cesar Almeida, who's a really good kickboxer, a better striker than Paulo Costa overall. His last loss is against Anthony Hernandez. He did well early and then got out-grappled and faded. Paulo Costa's not going to grapple him heavily. Paulo Costa, I don't know what's up with Paulo Costa. I think he's just mentally broken from the performance Adesanya put on him way back when. So I'm going to go Roman Kopylov to get it done. I think he outstrikes Paulo Costa, wins a decision. I'm going to say 29-28 decision win for Roman Kopylov. I'm picking him to get it done over Paulo Costa. I'd be shocked if Costa won. Okay, I don't think it's unfathomable, but the way he's performed in his last few fights, I'm not picking him to win. I picked him to beat Sean Strickland. He just didn't try to fight at all. Now, I think that fight was a lot closer than people made it out to be because Costa was falling over his own 2 feet. But nonetheless, I think Kopylov gets it done over Paulo Costa. Next fight on the card, we have the main event, boys. We've gotten to the main event of UFC Fight Night Louisiana. We have Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier 3. I know the pick, boys. I know the pick. I know what everyone's saying. Max Holloway, man. He's younger, man. He's 33 years old, man. He's the BMF. He is not the BMF. Ilia Topuria humiliated him. Imagine calling yourself the BMF after you walk out there in a title fight. The champion points at the center of the cage and said, let's throw down. And you run away. Holloway's career was over at that point in time. And I know people are going to call me a Holloway hater. I think he has an overrated career. And this is coming from someone who saw Max Holloway early in his career, and I thought he was a future champion. This belt right here on his shoulder is fraudulent. It's a fraudulent belt to begin with, but even in its fraud original state, he does not deserve that fraud belt. So he's a double fraud. Okay, he's still an elite level fighter. Don't get me wrong. He's still an elite level fighter. But he's taken on Dustin Poirier in his retirement fight in his hometown, who has 2 wins over him. And I understand the narrative. Holloway's younger. He's the BMF. He's fought better opposition. I mean, he's looked better against better opposition more recently. Dustin Poirier coming off that loss against Islam Makhachev, where he performed very well. Before that, he beat Benoit Saint-Denis, who really isn't that good. And you have Holloway having that UFC 300 brutal KO against Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje has a KO over Dustin Poirier recently, right before that. Head kick KO. I feel like everyone's counting out Dustin. I'm not doing it. I think this is a close fight. I think it's a 50-50 coin flip fight. I think Dustin Poirier has plot armor. I also think Dustin Poirier is the better boxer than Max Holloway. Max Holloway's career is criminally overrated. That's not to say he's not elite. I still do believe he's elite. But let's go through some of his wins, okay? So he gets embarrassed by Topuria. I understand he looked okay in that fight, but he gets embarrassed by Topuria and finished. The Justin Gaethje fight is an aberration. Max Holloway has pillow hands. He eye gouged Justin Gaethje twice brutally in the first round. Then he was able to break his nose with that beautiful spinning back technique. It was over right then and there. The double eye poke combined with that broken nose, fight was over in the first round. I don't care that the KO at the end was flashy and crazy. He lured a wounded animal into the center of the cage, had him swing wildly with him, and was able to brutally KO him. Before that, beat Chan Sung Jung, dead body. Before that, beat Arnold Allen, competitive fight. I don't think Arnold Allen's anywhere as good as Dustin Poirier is right now. Before that, got schooled by Alexander Volkanovski. You look back at his career, even the Jose Aldo championship wins, Aldo was doing well up until he gassed out because Aldo doesn't have great cardio. Dustin Poirier already has 2 wins over him. I understand they were long ago. You really can't take those fights too much into account when it comes to this fight. I think Holloway's boxing has been overrated because of the Calvin Kattar fight. They're like, yeah, man, Holloway's boxing, man. He landed so many shots on Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar isn't that good. He was never that good. He was a decent fighter. Don't get me wrong. I think Poirier is going to be better on the feet, and I think he has more power. He's not going to be lured into some weird, like wild, striking exchange towards the end of the fight. I think if they point to the center, I think Poirier's more technical on the feet. And I don't think Poirier's retiring, by the way. I think he's going to try to get an elite Topuria fight. He did well against Islam. He still lost. I mean, it was a very clear loss, but he did okay. I think Islam's the best striker at lightweight, okay, or was. Now he's up at welterweight. Before that, the Benoit Saint-Denis fight, fair enough. Benoit Saint-Denis is not that good. Before that, lost to Justin Gaethje. I think he's better than Justin Gaethje. I don't care what that head kick KO says. Before that, beat Michael Chandler, subbed him there. I think Poirier is the better boxer. I think he has more power. I think he has better fight IQ as well. And I think this fight's going to be primarily striking. I don't see either of these guys looking to mix in the grappling. And if Dustin Poirier does mix in the grappling, I think he's the better grappler than Max Holloway. Look at the way Topuria shot a double leg, easily took him down in the title fight last year. Easily. I think Volkanovski was able to get him down a couple times. It's a different ball game grappling at lightweight. And while I don't believe Dustin Poirier is going to grapple a lot, Dustin has a smart game plan. He came in against Conor McGregor in the second fight, mixed in the grappling, and then eventually found the KO. Dustin Poirier has amazing calf kicks as well. I can see him chopping the legs of Max Holloway. Also, Max Holloway, I've seen some interviews this week. He's looked like shit. He looks like he's on deathbed, even though he's not only cutting down the lightweight. I don't get it. And also, where is his confidence after getting literally just embarrassed against Ilia Topuria? He's moving back up to lightweight. I understand people are like, well, he beat Gaethje. Gaethje was an elite lightweight. I think Dustin Poirier right now is better than Gaethje. I think Dustin Poirier right now is more motivated than ever, fighting in his hometown, looking to end his career as a BMF champion, even though it's a fraudulent belt, against a guy he's already beaten twice. I think people are counting out Dustin Poirier. And while I'm not like unbelievably confident, I do think it's a close fight. I do think it's going to be primarily contested on the feet. It comes down to this. I think Poirier has more power. I think Poirier has better fight IQ. I think Poirier has plot armor. He's fighting in his retirement fight in his hometown. I think he's going to come in more motivated than ever. He's probably going to bring his wife and kid. He's like, I don't want to go out there and get embarrassed against Max Holloway. He has 2 wins over Max Holloway in the past. Holloway's confidence is probably shaken after that Topuria fight. Where Max Holloway's confidence is shaken. But Dustin Poirier, he kind of got elevated off that Islam performance. Oh, he bloodied Islam, man. People were acting like he was going to win that fight if he didn't get finished in the 5th round. Either way, he put up a decent fight. I think if this fight is exchanged in the pocket, I think Poirier outstrikes Max Holloway. I think Poirier has the better grappling. While Max is a little bit younger, a little bit faster, probably has slightly better cardio. When have we ever seen Poirier gas out? And if he hurts you, he puts his foot on the gas and never lets you off the hook. But Max is very durable. I don't see Dustin going out there and like brutally finishing him. So I'm going to pick Dustin Poirier. I'm going to say 48-47 decision, 49-46 decision win for Dustin Poirier in his retirement fight. Everyone's, like, oh, what a storybook ending. He gets this WWE title to end his career, and then he's going to come back and try to fight Ilia Topuria for the lightweight title. Because don't get me wrong, if Poirier puts on an amazing performance against Topuria, all of a sudden everyone's going to, or against Holloway, everyone's going to want to see that Topuria fight. It's just a fact. Everyone's going to want to see that fight. So I'm picking Dustin Poirier to get it done against Max Holloway. 58% of Tapology is picking Holloway. And I feel like everyone that I've seen, they're like, man, Holloway's going to win. I was back and forth on this one because I do understand the argument that Holloway's closer to his prime. Holloway, a loss to Poirier doesn't mean that much. He looked good up against lightweight, up at lightweight against Gaethje. But also, you know what I don't think is good for Max Holloway? Jumping up and down between weight classes. I don't feel like he's ever let his body truly figure out what it wants to be, lightweight or featherweight. Now he's officially going to be at lightweight. I think Dustin Poirier gets it done, man. I think he gets it done. I think everything's on Dustin's side outside of the fact that Dustin's kind of out of his prime. And I know none of these fights, it's not like Dustin looks like an unbelievable world beater against Islam or even Benoit Saint-Denis. He dealt with some trouble, got out grappled by BSD a bit. And even the Justin Gaethje fight, he looked decent in the first round, got KO'd in the second. Michael Chandler fight, he dealt with some adversity. I understand that. There's not been a flawless performance from Dustin Poirier in the last few years. He's not looked amazing really since the Conor McGregor fight. But I think Max Holloway's overall resume and career is a bit overrated, and people put too much stock in him outstriking Calvin Kattar 5 years ago. So I'm picking Dustin Poirier. He retires as the BMF champion at UFC 318. I'm going to say 48-47 decision win, and I'll be live for all of it. If you care to join me Saturday night, I'll be live reacting to the fights. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. I'll be here for the majority of the card. If you enjoyed these predictions, make sure to like the video. I would really appreciate it. Who are you guys picking in the main event? Am I crazy for just going with my gut and picking Dustin Poirier? It's just my gut instinct was Poirier. And then I was debating back and forth, and I'm like, you know what? I'm sticking with Poirier. I'm not switching. So I'm going Dustin Poirier decision win over Max Holloway at UFC 318. Let me know who you're picking down in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.